Hey guys, and welcome back to another video here on the Basketball Bulletin. So this one's a little bit different, not going to be the longest, but we are live right now. I am in the car. I had to run out of the gym to get this video done for you guys and talk about it with you guys here today. So the Lakers completed a trade per Shams Charania for DFS and Shake Milton of the Brooklyn Nets while sending out, I believe, 3 second-round picks, D'Angelo Russell and Maxwell Lewis. And that was pretty massive for them. They were able to open up about $3 million under the second apron. So that's huge, whereas there was like 30K before, which pretty much is no flexibility. You're basically right there without hitting the apron and dealing with the restrictions of that. But you were below it anyway, so you didn't have to. But now you open more flexibility, which is huge for them. The next thing I'd like to see them do is obviously they could use a big here. I'm expecting both of these guys to be a big part of their rotation going forward, but they could use a big. They also could use a free roster spot to maybe make a decision on one of the two-way guys like Koloko. You're going to ultimately have to wind up converting these guys or just stop using them because they do have a game restriction. But what do you guys think about this trade? The Lakers get a wing that they've been looking for, and it's pretty massive. So let me see what you guys have to say here. Good trade for the Lakers, not a game changer though. Yeah, it's not like it's something that's going to propel them automatically up to being, the favorite or anything like that. That's not what, is happening here or will happen with this. But I think that they're getting help that they much needed on the wing. And that's massive because they just haven't had a lot of those guys, especially guys that they can plug in and play, small ball four for them if they wanted to do that. Right. And I think DFS, I have to look at it a little bit, watch some more film of him, but I think he's probably a little bit more of a 4 than a 3 now. As these guys get a little bit older, they start to lose a little bit of foot speed, age up a position, things like that. But regardless, 6'7" wing over there, shooting about 43% from 3 this year. That could be a bit of an anomaly, a little bit higher than his career number. But, assuming that he doesn't have that Lakers bright light tax where his 3-point percentage dips 10%, he's going to be a nice pickup for the team. And that'll be a good one for us. But I think the unsung hero for this is Shake. I think Shake, he's not much of like a playmaker in terms of creating for others, but he's a bucket. He can go out there and get you, 10, 15 points off the bench on any given night. And that's huge, man. So I think that'd be a nice pickup for them. I was really concerned about them sending out D'Lo and not getting another guard back. I do think they need a guard back, and they were able to do that. So I'm going to miss D'Lo. Yeah, I wasn't as low as a lot of Laker fans are on him. He was very up and down, right? I think that's fair. He was sometimes inconsistent, things like that. But also his role was up and down. I think this year was pretty weird for him. He was asked to be off the ball at a career high rate. Like he was just off the ball all the time. And I think that really impacts what he's able to do. But regardless, though, hopefully things work out for him back in Brooklyn, where he had his lone all-star season. And, he looks pretty good. I'm actually surprised that they traded for him, given that they're not trying to win, and I don't know if they think he'll make them win too much or win a couple games more than they would like to. So that's where I'm a little bit concerned about that. But regardless, I think that's pretty massive. I think the big thing about this too is that the Lakers didn't have to give up any first-round picks. They only gave up seconds and open up flexibility, like I was talking about earlier, under the apron, which is massive for this team. DJ says, good trade so far. It definitely has moved the needle some. Yeah, absolutely. It is a needle mover for this team. It's not something that's going to propel them. Like I said, like they need another move. I think they could use, like I said, I think they could use a big. I think they can obviously get healthy. And when they get their guys back, that'd be eventually, they got that mythical unicorn over there that may or may not exist, according to Laker fans. You know who I'm talking about. That could be huge for them, but I do think they need to get healthy, but I do think they could, again, still use another big on the roster. I think they'll get Val next. Yeah, I think that one, like Trevor and I talked about it, where it's like, Val was the guy that there was just so much noise around, right? Like so much noise. So yeah, I would think that if one gets traded, if they get one, it's probably going to be him. I think he is the guy that is making the most sense for them right now. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would just like to get another like athletic big guy. That's more what I would like, a Dorian Sharp. Like we just traded with the Nets. How about we expand this? And yeah, I would like to get Cam, or either of the Cams really. But can we get Dorian Sharp? What do you want for that? Can we get that? I would like to get more of an athletic big than Jonas. But I do understand how it can be valuable having a big body guy like him on the team. They have to convert Quincy. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with Quincy. If without D'Lo, he's guaranteed more of a role on this team, or they give him more of a chance, because he's really not had a chance, to be honest. I do think they're going to try to give that role to Shake. It remains to be seen what happens with Gabe. That's another piece. But, I think the Gabe thing's kind of interesting, because all of a sudden, now that he's been hitting his shots, shooting about 40% from three, he got hurt yesterday too. So I don't know what's up with that, obviously. But prior to that, shooting about 40% from three in the last 10 games, and it makes a huge difference for what he's able to do for you. And so I don't know if that guy is getting traded out or what they're going to do there. But that is another piece that they can potentially move out. And if they go get Val, it would be Gabe. So that's where things kind of line up. Good 3-and-D trade. Does ZFS opt in or opt out next year? Do you think this trade assumes there's an extension? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to opt in. He's got a $15 million player option next year. I think he opts in. I don't really see much reason for him to not opt into this trade or into that deal next year. I don't know that he's going to get more than that on the market. So that's where he's going to be at. And then, if things aren't looking great, he's a $15 million expiring deal. You could probably flip him, and it probably wouldn't be all too hard, to be honest. He's still got the archetype that teams would be looking for, and I think you could do that. If push came to shove and you need to get off it. By the way, thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that thumbs up if you guys are excited about this trade. Bo, what are you talking about, bro? Chill. This year he was Buns. Who are you talking about? D'Lo? I think maybe so. Just D'Lo didn't look the same this year. Like, he didn't, and some of that's just because he wasn't on the ball, right? Like, he didn't have the same opportunity, but he didn't have that same swag, that herky jerkiness to him. Every now and again you saw it in spurts, but he didn't really have it. We got our first super chat. Thank you so much, Kanell. He says, or they say, we should have got Sharp with DFS for 3 seconds. 3 for him alone is nasty. Maybe, but I think you got to also consider. Maybe you didn't hear me say it earlier, but the flexibility piece of it. They gave up 3 seconds, which I don't really think is much. I don't really think that's much. They got back another player too, right? They also opened up room under the second apron to give them more flexibility to do other things, like take back some more salary in another trade. They were like $30K below the apron, right? And they were, whatever they do, they're not going to try to trigger that apron, right? So they're now about $3.5 million. That's huge. That's a really big amount of wiggle room that they have going forward. So I think you have to consider that too, because, it was also talked about, a first round pick, things like that. I always thought that was a bit of an overpay personally. But a desperate team might have been willing to do it. And this is also interesting because we got a report literally yesterday that the Grizzlies were in on, and I think it got maybe misaggregated and make it sound like they're a little bit more in on it than they were, but they were really trying to get DFS, and that was a report we got. Trevor did a video on it yesterday. Is DFS the answer, and what's the question the Lakers needed to answer? So here's a piece that they need. The Lakers have been trying to get another wing, more wing depth. They haven't had that much. And he's another 3-and-D type wing that can go out there, give them the ability to play certain different lineups that they haven't really had, get some shooting out there, and also, more importantly, get some more toughness on the court. I don't know that the Lakers got a lot of those quote-unquote dogs or a lot of toughness out there. I think that he's somebody that's going to go out there and give you and play with heart. So I think that's massive for them. I do still think, like I said a couple times, they do need another big, or they've got to figure out something. I think Koloko's look pretty good. Hayes has looked good in spurts. Maybe they try to wait and see what they have with Wood if he ever gets out there. But I think they could, above all else, use another big-bodied big. Or athletic big that's, a workhorse on the offensive glass like a Day'Ron Sharp was or is. And I think that's the last piece that they're truly looking for right now. Now, if they got that guy and then this trade is completed and then they have good health, can they go all the way? That's really the question. But I think the big thing here is that they didn't give up any firsts, right? And they have wiggle room, so maybe they're in on another trade for somebody that's more valuable that they can give up first for. And then maybe it's not just they're adding a big, or maybe they're getting a better big than we're thinking, like Valanciunas or something like that. And there are other players on this roster they could potentially move. I wouldn't want to, but they could still move Rui. They can move Gabe. They can aggregate those guys, I believe, as well. I don't know that that's a restriction for the first apron. So there's a lot of flexibility they still have. We gave an expiring to their benefit. I don't really know that that matters much personally. I get your point. You also gave them a long-term deal, right? Max has what, 2 more years on his deal? So it's a little bit amount of money. It's like 4 million or something like that. But yeah, I don't know that that matters a ton. I don't know that that's really to their benefit because they could have gotten expiring from anybody. Like I think that that was just the cost of getting that deal done, and then also getting that deal done now instead of at the deadline where he might have not even been available. That's part of what you deal with when you create a trade and you do a trade earlier, right? We're not even in January technically, right? It's just a couple days away, but we're not even in January. We got a trade done. That's massive. Most of the time, teams will wait until the deadline to get the best possible deal. So if you want to get that trade done, beat the crowd, then you got to just pay a little bit more. But I'm not too mad about 3 seconds personally. Won't Jonas get benched during the playoffs? Yeah, that's the worry. That's why I said I'm not like super in on him. The Lakers played the Pelicans twice at the end of the year. I think the play-in game and then the last game of the season. And both games, they just exploited the hell out of Jonas. And they got him played off the court in both games. They were just attacking him. He could not be on the court. So that being said, yeah, that's something I would be concerned about. And I don't know if you're the Lakers, I don't know how much JJ is in on the two big lineup unless he's got like another star level big out there. I think Jonas winds up being a backup. And if that's the case, that's not necessarily bad because they do need another backup like I've been saying, but I just do worry about the way that the team would play with him being a bit slow-footed and his limitations, not being the best rim protector, but being locked into a drop coverage defense because he's not able to play on the perimeter. Like I do think there are questions you have with him. I'm surprised they didn't take Memphis first and took the seconds. Yeah, I'm curious about that. I will probably get more news on that about how the talks went with Memphis, things like that. But yeah, not taking a first is kind of interesting. Getting those 3 seconds as well. Maybe they see something they like in Maxwell Lewis. Maxwell, so like I don't want to sell low on Max, but he's never really gotten an opportunity. He hasn't really looked all that great in preseason either, but he's never really got an opportunity. So they got somebody there that they can maybe see what they have. Maybe he turns into a rotation player and is good. He's still pretty young too. Last time I checked, so we should have got Sharp with DFS. I already answered that one. They got Jared, Gabe, Hood as likely tradable salaries, $22 million. Yeah, see, I didn't even mention Vanderbilt because he doesn't exist to me right now, and JHS. They're gonna make something happen with JHS because they've got him on that deal and they didn't extend him. So he's at this point an expiring salary, which is kind of insane for a guy just outside of the lottery a couple of years ago. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, they're gonna try to make something happen there, but they could put him together with Walker or with some picks and try to get Walker. I think that could be an interesting way that they go. You do have some of the same limitations as you do with Jonas, playing drop coverage only, being slow footed on the perimeter, things like that. But the difference is Walker is, by the numbers, not by me, but by the numbers, an elite rim protector. So that's where the difference is. So the Lakers are a joke in the NBA. Oh, okay. Finney been dealing with injuries, November, December trash today trade. And just wanted to get rid of D'Lo, point blank period. You think they just traded him just because they wanted to get rid of him? I don't know if they did it just because they felt like they needed to get rid of him. I don't, unless the argument is maybe he was like a locker room issue or something like that. I don't know that they just wanted to get rid of him. It felt like they had to dump him. Yeah, he has been dealing with some injuries. He's played only 20 of, I think, 30 games for them this year. So he's been dealing with some injuries in and out of the rotation lately. Hopefully he's healthy for the Lakers going forward. What's up? This might mean Cam Johnson goes to the Grizz. That could be interesting. We've talked about it a lot. Like he's gonna fit anywhere he goes. He could be huge for the Grizzlies. I think he really could. And I'm hoping, by the way, that that's not true if that wasn't the case. But hey, I can't say that. We're on the Bulletin. I got to be impartial. I got to talk from the Grizzlies' perspective. That'd be a huge pickup for them. I forgot we're not on LN. That would be a huge pickup for them. I think that any team could use him. Like he's just a perfect fit. And sniper out there, can play some positional defense too. I don't really have much else to say besides that. I think he'd be a nice pickup for them. But again, I think he'd be a nice pickup for everybody. Do I love this trade? I'm not sure. That's fair. We need to see it all pan out. But I like it from the perspective of I was very worried about sending out a guard and not getting a guard. And I also like that they got Shake back. Weak trade? Why do you say that? What do you think? They had to trade D'Lo. I mean, it's good that they did. They've had other expiring guys that they didn't trade, over the years, and I've always thought that's bad asset management. Or guys that could have been on expiring deals that they didn't retain. Even guys like Malik Beasley, like he played really bad, but you could have picked up that option and had him as an asset to trade. At a big salary number, like 15 whatever million. Mo Bamba, same deal. Like you just let these guys walk, which I think is bad asset management personally. One and done? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. So now the Lakers trade. Who is the Lakers are going after? There's been a lot of smoke with Jonas. Maybe it's him. I do think, again, a big would be nice. You could also, I mean, to be honest, you could still use another wing. Another 6'8", 6'9" wing would be nice. I'd really like that on this roster. Poor Max Lewis. Yeah, unfortunate for him, but hopefully he puts things together in a new location where he could have more of an opportunity. Horrible trade. Why do you say that? Who's your starting five now? If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's what I'll say. Like, I can understand saying, okay, we got DFS. We're going to plug him in right now. And you'd pull Rui. I think it's just, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If you don't need to change it, don't change it. So I'm sticking with the same personally. And Rui's been up and down on the season offensively, sure. I think he doesn't get enough credit for his interior defense, but he's not good as a perimeter defender. I won't try to tell you that he is. He also has lulls on, off ball. He's not great as a rebounder, but he adds a dimension to this team that they don't really have, the size that he has and the shooting ability he has. Rui's shooting like 43%, 44% this year, shot 42% last year. He shoots only 3.5 threes per game, and that's because they don't really look to get him the ball. He shoots so well that I'd like to see him get like 6 a game. Like, seriously, I would, because he'd probably still shoot 38, 39, 40% if he's taking 5, 6 a game. So I really like Rui, but I think, again, having another wing added in there on a team that just doesn't really have those guys has been pretty nice, or will be pretty nice. Lakers need players who can play defense. Correct. And they got one of them here. I don't want to say that they got two, because I don't know, Shake's defense. I don't know Shake's defense. I got to look into it, but they got at least one. Is it just me who thinks this isn't bad value for DFS? No, I don't. I think if you're a Nets fan, this was actually pretty good. Let's talk about it from the Nets perspective. You did get an expiring deal. Well, I think you could have got that anywhere. You got 3 seconds. That's nice, right? You could maybe turn those into something else. You could put those together on a trade, maybe get back a first, something like that. I'm not really sure what they plan to do from here. But DFS been in and out of the lineup, a guy you had to trade because he's not a part of your long-term deal, your long-term goals. And also is somebody that's been, just up and down for you a little bit this year. So in terms of his availability. So I think that that's a good trade for them. But I do think if you're the Nets, you really had to probably gauge the market and determine that he wasn't going to get you much more than he got you, because if you're the Nets, there's not much incentive to make this deal now. Like I talked about how for the Lakers, they gave up 3 seconds. You could argue whether or not that was equal value or good or whatever, but they gave up all that right now. And part of that was because you're just ahead of January. Like the deadline's a month away. Like this is a pretty early trade, right? So you have to beat the line and trade fast. So you give a little bit more value. And if you're the Nets, maybe you could argue maybe you could have got later value that was better, but they must have canvassed the league and saw that was the market. And I really like this and the Schroeder trade because it's setting the market, whereas it was all like, oh, first round for this, first round for that. That's what it was all up to a point. So I really do like that. Good pickup for the Lakers, but D'Lo and Brooklyn, they needed to replace Dennis, though. I don't know if they needed to replace Dennis. I think they should be trying to bottom out. That's why I was also concerned. So, okay, I mentioned that earlier. I forgot about that piece. While you get an expiring deal, I'm curious about, if D'Lo's going to make them win too much. What is the plans with D'Lo? Are they going to try to flip him? Are they going to do something like that? What's the deal with him? Can he even be aggregated? I'm not sure he can. So that's just kind of a weird situation for them. Maybe they look to buy him out. I'm not really sure. DFS makes Vando tradable. He does for sure. Kuminga's going off. Is he? Is he playing right now? Are they playing this morning? Really? I got to check in on that. Trade Vando and Rui. Ooh. For who? That's a lot of salary. What is that? That's like what?
30 million? That's like 30 million. That's a lot of salary. The tricky thing with that is that, Vando, if we don't want him, I'm not sure why other teams would want him because he's got several years and a player option left. So I don't know. Max is a solid prospect. Yep, I agree, but adding 3 seconds for a lesser player is laughable. Uh, you have you, maybe we have different values on seconds. I don't really mind that. He's 31. There was a what was that trade for Jay Crowder a couple years ago where it was like 5 seconds? You remember that? Like, I think second rounds are like the league is not really valuing those as much. Do we know if Garrett Vandy is coming back? So there's not been any reports on him. You remember he was actually supposed to be there to start the season, then got extended, and now he's extended out further, and JJ doesn't really have any updates on him. I think Brooklyn favor getting the expiry more than the picks at this point since they can facilitate further trades next year and get good drafts like have done. That could be a good point. Not a fan of Jonas. Why would you trade D'Lo and he's the only person who can shoot? That's not true. That's especially not true now. I just talked about Rui. I think Rui's still leading the team in 3-point shooting. I think with D'Lo, what you get with him and his shooting ability is more like off the dribble, 3-point shooting, stuff like that. But again, he never has the ball. So like he's not able to do certain things on this team. So that's where I can empathize with him and the situation he was in this year. Whereas like Ham really put D'Lo in different positions for better or worse, right? Than what JJ did. JJ went into this season and put the ball in AR's hands again for better or worse. And especially after last night's game, we'll save it for better, right? But he wasn't in a position to do some of those things. So, you used him as an off-ball spacer, catch and shoot guy, and that's had its ups and downs, and it just is what it is. D'Lo stay getting passed around. Oh, my God. Lakers would have gone after Butler. You think so? I prefer Rob Williams even with his injury history. Yeah, the best ability is availability, but man, I'd be lying if I said that wasn't enticing to me. Who's your favorite player in the NBA? LeBron. Finally, D'Lo traded. He don't play Koloko with AD now. Yeah, exactly. He started the season playing Hayes and AD a good bit together, but then moved away from that. And then, they asked him recently why he doesn't play Koloko with AD. He said he doesn't think it's a good fit. He doesn't even think it's a good fit with Jackson. But he was doing it for a while in like 5-minute spurts, things like that at the end of quarters and in the preseason, then just gradually moved away from it. Why not go get Jimmy Butler? Make it make sense. That could be a good trade. Getting Jimmy would be nice. I think any team that gets Jimmy would be happy to have him, assuming they're trying to make a push. How do you get Jimmy? What are you putting in that deal? You'd have to match the salaries, which is kind of crazy. Without D'Lo, you're giving up Gabe. Is it Gabe, Rui, Vando, and they probably need like JHS in there too. And then, of course, assets like draft picks. I think that's probably, I have to pull up the trade machine, but I think that salary might work. But even then, you know what? You may still be short on salary. So I don't know what you really can do there. Unless you're trading Reeves. Yeah. So you could put Reeves in there, but I'm not doing that. I'm holding him. Let's talk about the real. Okay. Be on the lookout for the trade being expanded to include Darion Sharp and send out JHS too. Yeah, I'd love that. Did Shams put something else about that? Did Shams put something like that out? Lakers are sending their own second round picks in 2027, 2030, and 31 to the Nets. Maybe he said something in the story, but yeah, that'd be a good point. I'm going to read a few more and then get out of here. I got to get back in the gym so I can head home. And Brooklyn is tanking, yes. So you think the trade makes sense? Yeah, I think this is a good trade. So Reeves, your starting point guard. Reeves has his up and downs as a ball handler, but he's been pretty good as a starting point, with Max in there at the other two guard position. So I'm cool with that. Rob did something just to do something. You think so? I don't know. What's the trade package? So the Lakers sent out D'Lo, 3 second-round picks, and Max Lewis to get back Shake Milton and DFS. I used to pray for times like this. Shake is a guy I've wanted to go after since the 2018 draft with their second-round pick, 6'6" combo guard with a 7-foot wingspan and can play on and off ball. Is he 6'6"? I thought he was like 6'4". Hold on, let me look this up. Is he really 6'6"? Wingspan 7 foot. Yes, 6'5". I mean, same deal, right? Wow, he's bigger than I thought he was. DFS provides that toughness we need on the perimeter. He's averaging Jaden McDaniels numbers, better shooter, just older. Man, that's so nice for the team. D'Lo trash man, no other way to sugarcoat it. Who's a better dunker, Ja or Ant? I'm going Ja. But I mean, that's a toss-up. I'm going Ja. Is this a setup for another trade? I'm hoping. They've still got, like I said, they increased flexibility with this trade under the apron to about $3.5 million or so. Last I saw from Bobby Marks. They also got those first rounds still they haven't given up. So they have room to make another deal here. The tricky part now is just going to be, since you sent out your biggest contract, you have to aggregate salaries. And so is that Rui? It's got to be Rui if it's a big star player or something like that, or a player of value. I'm curious if Rob will wind up trading them at all, though. I kind of look at this and I think Rob's going to trade one first and call it. Like, I think that's what he's going to do. Horrible trade. Palinka sucks. Okay. D'Lo didn't have great value. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's why you also had to send out those picks, right? Because I don't know that any team was trading for D'Lo for value. Are the new about to watch DFS highlights? Are the new players good? What types of players are they? So Shake, we kind of just talked about him a little bit ago. Bigger than I thought he was. I thought he was like 6'3", 6'4", but 6'5", 6'6" ish, wingspan, 7 foot, combo guard, can get you buckets off the bench. I'm looking for him to be a big part of this team going forward. I wanted them always to get another guard if they traded out a guard, so they did get that done. That's huge. DFS 3-and-D wing, probably a bit more of a 4, but he's 6'7". So, could be a little bit undersized if you're going that way, but a bit more of a 4, in my opinion, just due to the fact he's aged up a position as he's gotten older, lost some foot speed, but toughness, that's what I resonate with him. 3-and-D guy, 40% on the year so far, 43, I think, on the year this year, but a career about 38 or so percent. So pretty nice. Trade AR for Cam Johnson. Ooh, not after last night's game. D'Lo was awful in the playoffs, and yeah, so like that's where like the thing with D'Lo is like he could have came into the season averaging 30 and 10, seriously, and Laker fans still would want to get off him because they've seen him just crap himself in the playoffs. Ham himself even said, and I quote, "If I got a player shit the bed for 10 straight games, what do you want me to do?" That's insane, right? That's an insane quote from a coach, by the way. So that's what it is. Offense runs better under D'Lo. That's been, if you look at the numbers, D'Lo has been a positive for them on the court. It's just weird because it's a good sample size, because I don't know that D'Lo's missed many games. He's played like most of their games, and it's a good sample size. But the eye test doesn't show that most of the time. Sometimes it does, especially when he's on the heater or when he's out there with the ball in his hands. Like I said, I think it really just revolves around how much he has the ball in his hands, whereas this season he hasn't been able to. No first given up. Under second apron can start 3 defenders by putting Rui on the bench. Lakers got the best roster balance in 5 years. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. I said earlier I wouldn't change it if it's working. I wouldn't change the rotation right now in terms of starting group, but I wouldn't mind it. I wish we had Lonzo healthy. Yeah, that would be. I just think Lonzo's a guy I'd like to see get healthy. Not even just for the Lakers, just for the league. No, thank you on Jimmy. Hayes is hurt. Hayes was eligible to play last game, but he didn't, so he'll be out there soon. He was active. That did him back down. I hope this works out for the Lakers. Yes, hopefully so. Sorry, yeah, 6'5", same difference, man. All right, guys. I want to thank you all for hanging out. I read pretty much all you guys' comments, so that's pretty awesome. Are we getting Dayron? Yes, that's coming through. I read pretty much all you guys' comments. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe. Trevor and I will be all over this on both channels here in Lakers Nation. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Take it easy.